Did you know teachers aren't humans? They're not allowed to show stress or age, have health problems, show fear, waste time, and most of all, fail. They're not even allowed to go to the bathroom. But that's okay, because we're here to talk about how we're all just playing a role. And at 3 o'clock, we get to be us again. 40 years ago, two 8-year-old boys were bored out of their minds in school, and they vowed one day they would do something about it. They did it to honor their friends. They did it to honor their classmates. They did it for the love of learning. I'm Matt, and this is Rob. And 40 years later, we get our turn. But now we're playing teacher.
Recording in progress.
All
What?
right.
We were recording the whole time?
Nope, I just
No, we
started
just
it.
pushed it now. So when we were talking about Saturday Night Live and Tracy Morgan, that wasn't on yet.
Oh.
Now we're actually on
Okay.
right now. Welcome to Playing Teacher. Matthew Cade here with Mr. Rob Monahan and the Brugster in the house. And
Really?
what's up? What's going on, guys? I think this is episode 23.
I think so. I think so too.
I think so.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Pretty sure it's 23. Probably should have looked that up before, but yeah. So hopefully, I dropped the pen. Hopefully, this is episode 23. And should we just jump right into it? Or you want to get any stories?
I get yeah. First, does anyone have anything interesting that has been going on? I think Brugge, recently, I don't know if you were wearing your boot last time we potted. Were you?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I have a broken foot. I broke my foot. Yeah, I don't think I was. I broke my foot. I slipped. Well, I don't want to say slipped. I stepped wrong on a sidewalk, like on the edge of the sidewalk, and my foot rolled. This is the second time that I stepped wrong on the edge of like somebody's sidewalk or step.
Were you at work?
Like
and then were you at work and had to go home, or were you at? I was at the weekend or something.
On like the week, it was on a 3-day weekend. I think it was MLK.
It's like weekend warrior stuff, It's like, except when we're young, we break our bones by like doing crazy stuff, like hiking in the mountains or skiing. And then once you turn 40, you break your feet by walking on the sidewalk.
Well, for me, it would happen even when I'm 10. So I would just get hurt all the time. So I didn't really have a time frame on it. Did you take off? How many days did you take off for that? Or did you go right back after they put the thing on your foot?
No, I had to take off. Like I could not walk. I could not walk I think I went back on like a Friday, and I should not have even gone. I should have just taken the week. Yeah. And I remembered when I broke my foot like 7 years ago, different foot, I took off the entire week. Couldn't. Yeah, I know.
Wait, though, did you? Okay. Now I'm curious. So you were wearing the boot.
So how many days did you take off then for this?
I took off 3, but we had off on Monday. So I took off 4.
You were wearing a boot?
Not really a day off. Yeah.
So that week, I had gotten a boot, and I was, hobbling. I couldn't really walk though. So it was just laying.
You couldn't use like crutches or something?
I did, but it was like, I was just in so much pain. I couldn't even get down the stairs. Like it was bad.
Yeah.
And then finally
how did you go to get your kids? Like you just hobbled to them and then?
So then when I went back to school, I had teachers help me. So everybody's like really nice and accommodating.
Everyone's been cool about it. Okay.
Yeah. And then Jeff had to drive me to work every day, which was interesting because then you're driving with your significant other. And then like I listen to podcasts or I talk to my friends, and he's listening to 10-10 Win. So I'm like, what the fuck are we listening to? It's like doom and gloom at 6:30 in the morning. Like, oh Jesus.
You give us 22 minutes and we'll give you the world.
I remember 10-10 Wins. I was like 10. My dad listened to that like when I was 10.
Yeah, that tracks.
Did you ever, was there ever a time where you're listening to 1010 Wins and it gave you intel on the traffic and helped you avoid the traffic, or no? Because we have Google
No.
Maps now. That used to be the way. Like,
Yeah.
Before like Google Maps was a thing.
Yeah, no, just the weather, because we were like monitoring that giant blizzard that we had. So that was the only thing.
Why
So
was it only 22 minutes? Like, why didn't they lengthen the show?
yeah, it's such a good question.
It repeats, right? Like it's on loop, right? Like every.
Is it still 22 minutes and they'll give you the world, or did they,
I don't know.
over time? Because I remember from the 80s. Like,
It's
is it
really
now
good.
it's like 46 minutes and they'll give you the world, or is it still 22?
No, it's still 22 minutes and we'll give you the world. But
Yeah.
like thinking about it, they had specific slots for like sports.
Yeah.
And like, so I don't really know what's told in those 22 minutes. I don't know if it's still like repeating.
This was
I don't know. I just remember my dad eating like this large bucket of yogurt with sardines in it while you listened to it. So I'm a little traumatized by that. But anyway, it's a little off topic.
Oh, that's very funny.
Good memories. So, but you're doing okay now? Your foot?
Yeah, I went to the doctor. I am healed, but now I have to go to PT and then I'll be okay. And I'm going away in like a month to Paris. So I'll be like walking around the streets. So hopefully I'll be okay to deal with that.
You're a warrior. You just
That's right. I'm just old. I'm just old.
No, come on. I throw my back out bending, anything.
Yeah. Facts.
So today we're going to talk about, we had discussed maybe talking just about AI, and I talked to Matt and you about this, but it's going to be about technology. It's going to be about technology in the classroom, and AI would be part of it, but AI is too big of a topic to cover. I think in even one podcast, but, and it's changing so rapidly that,
And this just changed in the last 10 minutes after I just did research on AI.
Yeah.
And
see how fast it changes?
I spoke to Rob this morning. We were going to do AI. So I'm looking up all these things because I don't know so much about it. And I'm looking up natural large processing, analyzing and rephrasing, scanning patterns that they do for the entire text. And Rob just said we're doing technology now after I just spent
Matt, this is
looking.
This
I was like, fuck, I don't know anything about
Matt
AI.
This is inspired. This was inspired by your reaction when I said we were doing AI. So, and then the example you gave.
Why did you tell me that it was just going to be technology? More, we were going to broaden it.
No, this is how it had to be.
Then I went and did the research for an hour.
Yeah, no. Now you'll be super prepared for next time.
To forget everything I wrote down.
Wait, I'm laughing because like, why are you doing research on AI? Like, do you have any?
Because I don't know the terminology or.
Yeah, but I don't either.
And honestly, in the classroom when I was teaching, I didn't use it, so I didn't have a lot to add to the conversation. So I thought, let me just do some research so you can get a little background for the podcast. And I just know
the thing that we're doing today.
Yeah, the thing that we're doing today. But anyway, let's move on.
All right, so Rob, you wanna?
Yeah. All right. So I think anyone listening out there who's ever taught or who's been teaching, that's a better way to put it. And even parents, I think, in their minds they probably have a differentiation between pre-COVID and post-COVID technology use in the classroom. When I started teaching, it was funny, like on Facebook, like someone posted a picture of like the old iMacs, like they were like the Mac computers that were all colorful, and they were like, it looked like a big TV.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so I had 2 of those in my first classroom. In the back of the room, they were like dusty, like the person who was in the room before me never used them. And, it was like, and that was normal. Like just to have 1 or 2 computers in your classroom, that was it. There were no laptops, nothing. And I remember like writing in the comments, we had two of these in our classroom, and one of my old students, who's now like 20, almost 30 years old, was like, "Oh my God, I remember those." You know what I mean? Like those fossils, you know. Skip ahead though, right? Even when I was in the school where we worked, you remember like the technology I had in the classroom was my own computers, right? Brugge, you actually still have one of them. Like you're gonna the one that you said you were gonna pass back to me or whatever, right? So,
Yes.
right. And now, yes, like some classes have a computer cart or like we had a computer teacher who would roll in with a cart of laptops or whatever. iPads were nowhere to be found in the classroom, you know. So I think now we go to like COVID where we realize like, oh shit, all this great technology has been out there for instruction and we haven't really been using it, especially not to its potential. So now there's this mad scramble to try to get computers and iPads and technology into every kid's hands. It's too late. We should have done this 10 years before. But Matt, you were telling me about a story from when you were still, you know, in the school, and I think that's a good place to start.
No, I'm sure. I was actually thinking of something, a different story.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
go for it. Go for it.
no, no, just when you said that, not even a story, just when you said that, it automatically reminded me of COVID, right? When it happened, that we all came in for the main reason to give out computers to the parents,
Yeah.
right? Do you remember that, Brooke? Like we just
Yeah, I
all
do.
came into the school, and that was the priority of the day, just to make sure that everybody had a computer
A device.
to go home to during this process. Like, South Park made fun of it. Everyone's like, sit at the screen. Everybody needs to go. Everybody needed one. So that was like the main thing because you'd be just cut off from the world. But no, Rob, what actually you were talking about is I remember like so it was about a year and a half ago, right? And I remember it was like towards when I was like leaving, you know, um, teaching in the school, right? And I remember walking around and all the classrooms, and I'm not knocking anybody, but they all look the same. And all the kids were just sitting at their desks, and everybody had um their either not a laptop, they probably had a notebook out, so whatever they had, whatever technology they had, it was just open, right? And everyone was just glued to it. And teachers were at the desk, and basically you'd walk by every room and every kid was just there. And that was the day. And it just stuck out to me like man,
Yeah.
like after COVID, it just got to that point. So like I remember then we come to my room and then they would explode with energy and then I started to think, is it too much? Whatever we turned into after COVID, is it too much that they're sitting there too long just
Yeah.
on the screen like that? And that's why some of, almost the misbehavior or the thirst for any type of energy from a teacher and the interaction is because of that moment, because of those hours that they're there. And then Rob,
So
you
can
mentioned,
we like rewind it back
Hmm.
to when we were kids and we
yeah,
were told, don't watch too much television.
Yeah.
You need to go outside. You need to play. So forget about even computers. Like we were told to monitor screen time when we were watching TV.
Hmm.
And now, okay, fast forward, Maddie, you're to your point, like these kids are sitting in front of their screens all day, all day.
it
And then of
seemed
course
like it
they're
was.
gonna like
Listen, I don't know. I just know that every time I walked by, it seemed like that, and this is even the younger kids. I'm not saying it's just the older kids.
Yeah.
The younger kids were still glued to it, and it's not the teacher's fault. This is what was drawn. They bought a program, and then everyone's following the same program in the school, and
Yeah.
that's what they're doing. And then they're doing their job. That's what they're told to do.
Yeah. So Matt,
okay, but it's not. Oh, sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
no, I'm sorry. This is the question I was just going to ask, right?
Mhm.
So you can create a likeness here between technology and something else. Like I remember when I was in fifth grade, we were doing debate, and I was chosen to be on the side of gun. It was gun control debate, and I was chosen to be on the side of people should be able to own guns, right? And I remember at that age, I was like, it's not the guns who kill people, it's people who kill people, right? So I think that we have this thing with, we have like a lot of technophobes, right? So technophobic people who make policy, people who are afraid of technology and advancement, who make policy in the education system. It's not the teachers, though. Let's make this very clear. So a school will buy a program, right? Or a district, well, it's not even a school. A district will buy a
It's
program.
higher up.
New York
Agreed.
City will buy a
Yeah.
program like iReady or IXL Learning, So
Whatever it is.
these are
Yep.
ways to like basically assess or try to assess where kids are to death. I mean, we're assessing kids to death basically. That's like, and or
Yeah.
and so
Yep.
and because we have this thirst for data that we think is important in telling us like whether they have learned or whether they are learning or what they know or what they don't know. And we do so much of this that it takes the place of actually teaching them anything, right?
Dude, you're exactly right, because then they would sit, and I knew, because we would have to cover, as clusters, we would cover classes,
Mm-hmm.
and the teachers would just take, the classroom teachers would take the kid out into the hallway,
Yeah.
and they'd sit in a desk with them because they couldn't do it in the classroom, and they'd sit in the hallway, and then asking them questions, that are from a list,
Yeah.
like a long list, and they would go through this and
Right.
assess every little thing. And they were like, do you mind if I take out 8 more of them,
Yeah.
during your class? And you're
Yeah,
covering,
yeah.
and it's just they are analyzing to death this program that they just sat and did all day, 6 hours a day for 3 months just to see if it's working, you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, and it was crazy. And
Even in
maybe it worked for some of them. I don't.
no, even in high school. So so
I don't have enough data to say if it worked. I just know what I saw, and what I did see was the explosion of energy from coming from sitting there all day looking at a screen. And that's what I experienced. Because then they would come to me,
well,
or come, go to gym, or go
yeah.
for the 10 minutes that they get
Yeah.
outside to run, and like, or, explode, or just they can't take it anymore and they get into trouble.
Brugge,
Um,
what were you gonna say when you were gonna say something and I said something and you let me talk, but then you didn't say what you were gonna say.
Well,
floor
Oh,
is
I don't.
yours.
I don't remember.
well,
I
let
don't
me.
remember, but I will say this, that, well, first of all, it's not every teacher that has their kids in front of a screen every day. We should
No,
just say that. Right. Like there are
right.
teachers that are teaching and not using the screen as just not just a tool, but using it as the
And listen,
teacher.
and I'm just
Right.
saying that's what I just saw walking around.
Right.
I'm not saying everybody. It just became a
Right.
sort of
No, I
pattern
just
to me.
wanted to I just
Well,
wanted
Yeah,
that to be clear.
yeah,
But
but the
absolutely.
question is with even in that case, is it actually the teacher who's just? I don't think it's the teacher who's even deciding to do that. In other
right,
words, you
no,
know what I'm
it's
saying? So
not. It's
yeah, right,
administration
right.
saying like you need to do this. I think I was just going to say that you have the kids who are on their devices and then they're watching. If the teachers have like Promethean boards, now they're watching the screen on the Promethean board in the classroom, and then they're going home and they're on their devices. So it's just since COVID, it's just an explosion of being on in front of screens more than prior to. That was it.
Now,
That was the point.
read alouds. I remember when we started like teaching, right? Like Rob, you really introduced me to read alouds in a way, because you're a science teacher, right? And you loved, and I remember you telling me this early on, one of the greatest things you loved about being a teacher was just opening a book and reading to a group of kids. And the things that you read weren't necessarily science, but you read Curious George to them.
Hmm.
And I remember you sitting there and just rocking in your rocking chair, and we're going back 20 years, right? And you were just reading to a group of eager kids, and you would just sort of open the book and slowly turn to page like where we leave off last time, and the kids would just like instantly say, and there was such a smile that came over them, right? And I remember that, and I would love doing read aloud. Now, along the way, I would watch, and I'm guilty of this. There were so many great read alouds on the smart
You
board or whatever you want to call it
on
today.
YouTube, on
Yeah,
YouTube.
and so you just hit a button and then they
Yeah,
do it, and then you sit back and watch them do it. And I'm guilty of it as well. I would, it just became a thing where we change that, even the simple thing of just opening a book and reading to the class
reading.
and reading, and if someone else is reading to them when you're right there. And roll a lot of people just do it, and it's nothing that you're doing wrong. It's just that we're programmed to just let somebody else read to you from a board when you're standing right there with the book. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's the human connection, and I think that's what you were teaching me was the human connection back then. And somewhere along the way, something as simple as that got lost.
Right. And so I'm gonna back up for a second and I'm gonna go all the way back and ask a question here. So there's a fundamental question, which is what is learning? Like, what does that word mean? And or what should it mean? What does it mean in the school system? What does it mean in the mind of the teacher? And what is it supposed to mean? Right. So like, a big part of what happens in schools, and this is not the teacher's fault. Again, like I'll defend teachers on this all day long, every day for the rest of my life until I die. There's a thing that we have where we're over assessing kids, and what we call learning is the child's ability to recall information on a test or to perform a behavior on a math test. And performing a behavior on a math test in a computation is not the same as understanding.
I was going to say, is that technically learning?
No. So
Like,
I don't
no.
know. It's not, but that's what learning means in school today, not from the teacher's perspective, from the system's perspective. This is a
Right.
system-wide issue, right?
Right.
So we define learning by the way that we assess kids, and the way that we assess kids is to have them perform tricks, basically, but perform acts of regurgitation, memorization. So the question is like, and I know this from science. If you give me, I've worked with gifted and talented kids down here in North Carolina, right? You give them a science state test, and I'll work with the entire grade. So 150 kids on a grade, 60 of them are gifted and talented, and the others are not, right? According to what we say is gifted and talented. And you take the 60 kids who are in the gifted and talented program, they will get 100. Every single one of them will get a 95, a 96, 97, or 100 on the state science test. They'll get every question right. But when I go into the classroom and I ask them a question that starts with why or how to see if they really understand the science, they do not understand it. So
Right.
they've been trained to answer questions, and there's a testing effect that's in place. And then there's also just a memorization of ideas, like because there's only so many ways you can ask the same questions on a multiple choice test, right? And so,
I mean, I think that's because it means nothing to them.
it doesn't,
That's the
right?
first
And
thing.
so
Yeah.
and Sam plays this game. Sam is brilliant. He's like a 4.6 GPA or something, and he's still like 80th in his class. You know what I mean? So it's like this idea of GPA and getting a better grade and following the rubric and answering the questions like
Because it's lacking passion, bro.
right. It's meaningless, right?
And that I think that's a thing that's I saw missing.
Right.
Like if you want them to really take in what you're saying, they have to believe you. I think we did a video about that, right? We
Yeah,
put it on
we
our
did. Right.
we did, like I put it, yeah.
I'm going to
But if
stop you. You mean like lack of the passion on the teacher? Lack of the passion of the teacher?
I didn't say lack of the passion. I said just
What did you?
passion. I think the
Right.
teacher needs to, even if they don't have passion for the actual subject that they're teaching, right? They have to find a way, find that human connection to what it is,
Right.
right? And then transfer that over to 30 or so kids because class is overcrowded, right? And and then show them why, as Rob said, the why and the how. And that is teaching. If you can do that, they're going to listen to you. They're going
Right.
to believe you. And if
Right.
they don't believe you, they're going to tune you out. Yes, they can memorize, as Rob said. They can memorize lines. They can remember a paragraph word by word. Are they going to remember
So
this tomorrow?
now,
No. They can
what
pass the
about
test. Go
so
ahead.
now what about all those other kids who are not able to memorize
Right.
or
Well,
right?
that's where
Like,
this comes from. So when I had leukemia, I had they blasted me. Remember this scene in Marvel where Thor gets blasted by the radiation when he's trying to make a new hammer?
yes,
That was
yes,
me. They strapped me to a thing, 7 years old. They blast me with full body radiation head to toe. It just destroys me, right? So I have cognitive issues that have to do with memory, short-term memory, working memory, which they discover when I'm like 10 years old or something, right? So I'm never the kid who can just like who memorizes everything and then just I have to understand it. If I understand it, then I can easily recall because like when you understand something, it there's different pathways for memory, right? And
right,
so when I was teaching, it was never memorize this. It was always like if I can get them to deeply understand and really love this, and if I can get them to, and we talked about analogies, right? So if there's a structural analogy between the science content and maybe a movie or a story. This is what the story was about, right? So story, like reading them a read aloud, Curious George, or showing them a magic trick, or referencing a movie or a TV show, or playing a game, which we did all the time. These are all seeds. These are all things that they are familiar with, that they love,
Seeds.
and
Mhm.
that they can relate to. And if you can build a bridge between the structure there and the structure of the science material or the math material or the reading material, then you have a kid who can navigate through that material in a way that they understand, right?
Agree 100%.
But
I was thinking even of the word seeds
yeah,
when we're talking about what is learning a little while ago, and as we're planting those seeds. These are all skills that we're giving them at this point in their life that they can use to carry on to understand the material. That's what teaching is.
but now let's talk about AI for a second. So
Yeah.
Brugge and I had a mini conversation, and I'm just going to recap it. So
Where was
there.
I? I didn't pop in
No,
yet.
no, no. I called her. I talked to you first, and then I
Secret
talked to her
conversation?
second.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So anyway, and by the way, as I'm saying this right now, a message just popped up on my screen because I'm teaching a class. Um, I'm teaching undergrads right now at University of Chicago. A message popped up, and I just read it very quickly, and it said, "Sorry, professor, I didn't when I turned in my assignment, I didn't realize that the rubric, blah blah blah, right?" And it's kind of like not to say that rubrics aren't important, but Matt, when you were talking about passion before, if
I
kids
just
are
say that I'm actually taking your class. That was me, Rob. I'm sorry. I didn't
I didn't read the
I
AI rubric.
I
So
didn't. Yeah, he's a great teacher, by the way. Go
so
ahead. Sorry.
no. So in terms of passion, right? If you love it, if the kids love that subject that if you make them love it, then that's passion, right? But if the kid is performing all of the assignments and the tests and all the things that the teacher wants them to do because, and this is the motivation, right? Because they are afraid to get a bad grade or because they are afraid to fail the class. If that's the motivation, that's not learning. You've lost, right? You're going to have a kid who will do anything they need to do to to match the rubric and to do all the little stupid things that you want them to do on your assignment that you designed. And so, if you don't have any flexibility there, you've already lost the kids, right? And so
right,
now AI is interesting because you have all these college professors out there and high school teachers mainly. This is less in middle school and elementary school, but and you have these people who, they design assignments or whatever. They give the kids an assignment and then they give them a rubric. And those kids better do that assignment exactly the way that they were told on that rubric. But now the kid can put all of that into an AI model, and the AI can do the assignment perfectly according to the rubric, right? And so now the first thing we do is we say, no AI. Like the kid, like if you're caught using AI, you get a zero, right? Like, and so we don't understand that if you know we say that AI is not actually intelligent. Like we say that it just works on pattern recognition and it works by, it works on this back end model. It's not really thinking. Like this is what all the learning scientists say this.
But you're saying the teacher tells the students no AI.
Yes.
But did the teacher design the program with AI?
No. The teacher designs an assignment. The teacher says,
Okay.
here's your assignment for the week. I want you to write a paper about this, or I want you to.
Austin gets this where
Yes,
he'll
Sam
get
too.
he'll have an assignment, and then it's said we will know if you use AI. There's a program that we can use to determine if you're using AI or not.
But here's my problem with this, right? If we're saying that AI is not really intelligent, right? If it's just pattern recognizing, and if it's like, we can say all day how it works, right? But if we're saying that it's not really
natural large processing,
it's not really thinking, right?
Analyzing and rephrasing.
If it can do the assignment,
knock it off.
All right, sorry, that's my research.
Matt's flexing on his AI knowledge now. If the AI can do the assignment,
scanning patterns.
Oh,
all right,
my
go ahead. Sorry. All right,
exactly, Matt. You're hitting the point. If the AI can do the assignment that we've created for the kids, then what does that say? What does that say about the assignment? Like if the AI can do the assignment and the AI doesn't really think and it's not really smart and it's not
shitty assignment.
The shitty assignment, right? So like instead of saying if you use AI you're gonna fail, why don't you change the fucking assignment? Like why don't you actually think of something that AI can't do for them? You know what I mean? Like God forbid the kids come in and do something because basically
Matt, what you have to
God
do
forbid they come in and talk to each other. You know what I mean? Like,
and I'm saying this not just because I just looked this up, but basically what AI does is they scan the whole text, right? And they look for keywords in it, and then they summarize it. So you would have to basically come up with something that they can't do that for.
Yes.
Where you can actually have human feelings and actually think and, actually think outside just summing up and taking keywords to turn it in. That's why they can figure it out.
Matt, could AI have done any of the things that we ever did with our kids in our classrooms?
Absolutely not.
No.
Can they take, neodymium and attach it to a chair and move the chair across the neodymium is like the strongest magnet in the world. And have it. Can they take Herbie the chicken and have a race with, Spider Monkey across the room and have 30 kids explode when Herbie beats the chicken, when Herbie beats the monkey in the race? No, they cannot. All these things, what about when Rob blew up the lab into a giant globe, the Star Lab, and we took a student with special needs and changed his life and moved him underneath, and we lifted him up and moved him in, and actually so he can see all the things that he was missing. Can we differentiate instruction and inspire them and change their life so that 30 years later they remember these moments? AI can't do that.
But now I just want to
Maddie.
Yeah, bro. I want to flip this over to something else, like something still AI, but I want to flip it over really quickly. So according to New York City Public Schools, right, the use of like what they call AI assisted cheating is the same as plagiarism, right? So now it's like this interesting thing where it's like, okay, the AI can do the work. So we're not going to change the assignments. We're going to keep the assignments and we're going to say, if you use the AI to do the assignment for you, you fail and you've cheated, right? Instead of thinking that there's a larger problem here with the assignment. So, okay, that's going to stay the same, right? But we don't consider it cheating. So I went to a conference down in Orlando in early January. All of the education technology companies that are out there that make products that schools buy, right? So it's hundreds of companies. Every single company that was there was talking about how they incorporate artificial intelligence into their products now. And the underlying message to teachers was, hey, we're going to make your job so much easier. So you don't have to write your report card comments anymore. AI will do it for you. You don't have to write your lesson plans anymore. And by the way, I'm not a lesson plan person. I don't think teachers should have to fucking write lesson plans and submit them to administration. Like that's bullshit. But They're going to do the lesson plans for you. They're going to make your tests for you. They're going to make your assessments for you. They're going to do this for you. They're going to write your IEP goals for you, you know? And then, they're going to do all the assessment. Like, so it's basically like saying, but then it comes down to that thing, Matt, where it's like schools are going to buy into this. Schools are going to say, we don't want, basically we want to buy technology that will do that in our minds will do the job of the teacher, and the teacher is just going to be there for tech support basically. And again, this is not what the teachers want. This is what's going to happen with schools, right? Like they're going to
I saw it starting to happen already.
Right. I mean, it is happening now, but
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of it. I remember I had to do I didn't even know what chat GDP was, like for everybody was using it, right?
Chat
and I'm
GPT.
sitting chat
Oh.
GDP.
I was like, GDP, what's he talking about? And there's something
Wait, what is it again?
GPT, chat GPT.
GPT, thank you.
Yeah. But they have like Gemini, Copilot, like there's a Toby, there's a ton of them now. Yeah.
No,
but nobody's saying that stuff is bad. It's just, it has to be used in the right way. Like it has to be, there's a reason why teachers.
I'm doing a music concert. Here's my point. All right. Maybe I can't pronounce it, but this is what I was doing. And I'm sitting there at the computer. I'm trying to write why parents should come to the show that I'm doing at our school and at a middle school around the corner. I'm trying to just come up with the words for it. And a writer, and I couldn't really. It just sucked what I was writing. So Cindy's over there, and she's like, "Oh, just use this." And she goes, and she goes to it, and she goes to chat GDP, and she just puts it. I said it wrong again.
Yeah.
Go ahead. And so she
puts
it in.
All right, she puts it in, and it's like 20 times better than what I was writing.
Yeah.
And I put out the parent letter that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that was like my first, and it was a couple of years ago, and it was just like my first, I was like, oh, just 10 times better than what I was saying. And I just gave out the letter that way.
Yeah.
And like,
but Matt, wait, let me stop you for a second. Did it put it out? Did you read it?
Did I read it? What do you mean? Just for myself? Did I read it?
No, yeah. Like once it generated the letter, did you read what it wrote before you sent it out?
Yes.
So you read it and then you said to yourself, "Hey, this sounds pretty good. I'm going to send it out." Right.
For this, I thought it sounded a lot better than what I had there.
But you vetted it. You read it, and then you said, "This is what I was trying to convey."
In a better way.
In a better way, I'm going to send this out. But there's nothing wrong with that, Matt. This is using technology to save so in the 2 hours or the hour it might have taken you to write that yourself, right? And maybe
it took about 10 seconds to write.
Yeah,
they processed what I was writing, and that's what it takes. It takes a few seconds to process what you're writing and then come up with all the key facts and those moments and just write it a million times better, than what you came up with there. Unless you're some, maybe I could have did it better if I just worked on it for like 5 more hours, but at that time, late at night, coming up with this letter that I had to send out to parents the next morning, this was definitely a plus. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just use that.
So I think about and I'm sure this is the same for Dylan. I don't know about Dylan's school. Sounds really cool actually, but I think Sam and Austin probably have similar experiences where
collaborative.
Yeah. So Sam goes in and all day he's sitting in classes where the teacher is not teaching, right? The teacher is either grading, some assessment that they gave the week before, or they're grading some, or they're using GPT to grade things. They're not even probably grading anymore. But, and it's just assignment after assignment after assignment. There's no instruction. That's not instruction, right? So
no, they do a lot of, they go on a trip. He's on a trip almost every week. He's on a trip. He's at the Brooklyn Intrepid today.
He has experience. He's getting experiences. Right?
Yeah, he's getting hands-on activities, experiences. That's amazing.
So even in high school, learning should still be embodied. It should be something that you're physically doing. It shouldn't be sit here and watch this video on code. So Sam is taking a computer science course. Every single lesson that he doesn't have a lesson from the teacher. Every single thing that they learn is an existing video on code.org. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, let me just line up like a bunch of videos for the kids to watch. So why is he going in there into a class with a teacher in
You
front
said
of?
sometimes you didn't have them go in just because you couldn't. You're like, there's no point. Didn't you argue with them on what you
But
said at one
that's just
point?
like lazy. That's lazy
Yeah.
teaching. That's not even teaching. That's not teaching at all. That's just
So
lazy.
so let's go back to, remember, Matt, when I told you about 2 hour learning?
Yeah.
So
You were
there,
telling
there
me about that. Yeah.
there's a
You want to
big,
explain it? You want me to
yeah,
explain it? Go ahead.
there's a big uproar now because there are, and you're gonna have people arguing this on both
Alternative
sides.
schools, right? Yeah.
So now, so they're I'll be upfront about it. These are private schools, like parents have to pay for this. So there's an equity gap here. People who can't afford this can't get into it. But the people who can afford it are doing it, and it's working better than a lot of school systems that we have now. Not all, but and it's where the kids go in and all of their academics are taught by a customized AI tutor for the kid. That's the way they sell it. I'm not saying that's what actually happens. So all of the academics that a student normally takes 6 or 7 hours to learn in a day is condensed down to 2 hours. It's called 2 hour learning. The rest of the day, the kid does things like starting a business, starting a podcast, writing a book, um, you know, um, like anything in the arts,
I was
right?
going to say their
Like
physical activity as well.
esports. It could be anything that's considered, like, actually now in school systems, to be on the fringe.
This actually sounds like Dylan's school now.
Right. And
Because
so
I was
this,
talking to
right.
his AP. He was in a show. You grow. I was talking to his AP, and she's like, they're going to start a podcast,
Yeah.
at the school, and and she knew about ours, and because Dylan told them, so they're checking out our stuff, and she's actually interested in talking to us about
Dylan,
it.
doesn't Dylan run the store or something?
He runs a school store. He
Yeah.
started on his own
Right.
the middle school store in high school, and he just got elected as the school treasurer,
He's
and I
he's
mean,
one
so
kid doing
yeah,
more than like the entire
but
student body at some
yeah,
schools
Maddie,
for
that's
four
not
but
years.
I gotta give I give him credit, but I also give the school credit
Exactly. Yeah.
that they let him come up with these things,
Right.
and they say go. And if something, I remember when he started, he came up with an idea to start something, and they couldn't really figure out how to do it. So then not every idea passes,
No.
but then he'll go to something else, and he'll say like, well, what about, and he'll just question, well, why didn't they have, you want to raise money, why don't they have, if so I'm going to run the school store in high school and I'll learn how to do it. Why don't you have it for middle school? Like they all want to buy these things, and that was him.
Mhm.
And he said, like, yeah, we don't have anybody. Well, they would want all these things too. They probably want it more than the high school kids. So he
but
started
so
that
in that
himself.
in
And
in
then
that
he was
situation.
gaining money for the school, and it worked. And now they have a middle school store in his
Yeah.
school. So he's gone over to oversee it, but they have it. Then he'll go back to the high school store. But yeah, he
Brugge, what were
just
you
loves
gonna?
being involved that way. But I give credit to the school for allowing him to have the freedom to think of these things, and then actually affect for the school,
Yeah. Brugge, what were you gonna say?
I said in that situation, you have a school that is offering this, but you also have a child that is highly motivated. If you have children who are highly motivated to do things in a school that puts the kibosh on things, or it's just it's nice. You have both components in a positive, like this is a positive on both ends.
Yeah.
Whereas
Right.
like you can have a
The school could
motivated
say easily,
kid,
like, no, it's both,
right? Right.
and then, you know, I guess we're all parents from our end. We motivate our kids. Brew, you just took, Austin on like a run of colleges. Like you just spend like a week there.
Yeah.
Rob, your whole part of your soul is making sure that Sam can get every possible, positive thing in this world. You wanted to leave teaching so you can walk him to school as when he was in kindergarten. You know what I mean? Like, just be there and experience it.
Then,
Well,
so imagine you don't have a student who's
right.
motivated and the school doesn't offer anything.
Yeah.
And then you're putting them out in society, like
But
creating these.
let me,
No, but
yeah,
my point is that then it comes down to parents who give them that thing, like when the kid says, like, should I do this?
yeah,
I'm like, yeah. The one piece of advice I gave Dylan when he started, I said, get involved from the beginning. And I'm doing that from my mistakes.
yeah,
I'm telling him, like, get involved from the beginning. And then I remember telling him that, like, and it was so important to me for him to do that because I did not do that,
yeah,
I
yeah,
was like, don't be afraid. Do it when you start. I was like, because then you're in it, right? They're not, and then they're going to know you for that, for the things that you care about, that you're gutsy and take chances and things. And that's your identity there. All these things that you're thinking about, not all the crap that we think about as we're going through high school and all the anxiety and this and that. You're just going to be someone that cares about, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. But start from the beginning. Don't wait till later. Start from the beginning. And I remember, I was so proud of him that, and I'm not saying it's because of me that he did it. It was in him.
yeah.
But I remember I'm so proud of him that he's doing it. And we as parents, we're all involved in our kids in that way. And that's a part of it as well. So it's a three-part thing.
Yeah.
You need the school, you need the kid to have that, then you need the parents that would be there, and hopefully, and if a kid can do it without the parent support, because a lot of them do, without the school, man.
Yeah.
But if you have all three, you have a recipe for success.
But a lot of those kids are the ones, like when you look at, like people who are super, like some of the wealthiest people in the world, super successful, like how many of them dropped out of school, right? It's like an interesting thing to look at, right? But I want to ask Brugge a direct question and then you, Matt. Brugge, why didn't Austin just go on to Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT and enter in the schools that he's interested in learning about and put those schools into the AI model and have the AI model tell him everything about the schools? Why not do that? Why actually physically take him to a campus?
So we actually did both.
Yep.
We had a business program.
Right, your
called
audio's
Not.
off.
Something was
It's
off
not
with the
off, but
volume.
it's a little weird.
Did you move or something or change it? Talk again.
No.
Something's wrong.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah, I hear you now. Perfectly now. Something
So,
just went off.
sorry
Go ahead.
guys. So there's a program there's a program called Naviance that the guidance counselors basically gave to all the parents and the juniors, and they were like, you need to fill out all this information on Naviance, like your interests, blah blah blah, and it's like questionnaires, essays, and then it populates all the schools that matches, like your GPA, your SAT scores, your ACT scores, all of it, like to figure out what your reach schools are, what your schools are for, like, that you can get into, all of it. But Jeff and I, like, Austin is Austin.
Yes.
And
You know something about him that an AI never will.
correct. And so we were like, yeah, he can be told, but he's not really absorbing and learning the information about these schools. So we had to go on a field trip to do school tours,
right,
and look and see. And one of the schools that he fell in love with was a school that had students like busy, like he could see them
energy.
physically learning.
You have to physically be there to experience it.
Yes. And like, a lot of the lecture centers that we did see, like the bigger LCs, like we would see like, the teachers in the front of the board, in the front, and like they all had their computers in front of their faces, really not really talking much. But the one that he loved was the one, like he had to see it.
Yes.
He had to physically
this is my point.
Explore. Yes.
Right. So it's not like, so there's a brilliant use of AI in the beginning of this exploration process where it helps you narrow things down. But if you ended there then he would maybe have chosen a school based on this like perfect matching that was done.
Correct.
And this is exactly how assessments are done now with AI. It's not deep enough, right? So, okay, so that's a good example of what we were talking about. Matt, let me ask you something about Dylan, right?
Sure.
If Dylan used AI to help him with with like something with his store, maybe marketing or maybe inventory or whatever, that would be a great use of AI. He doesn't have to do that, but if he did, it would
Right.
be a great use of AI. Why like what's the value of actually doing the store or actually doing the play or actually going on the field trip when he can just go into the computer and go on a virtual field trip or use AI to write a script that never gets acted out or use AI. So let's say the teacher gives an assignment. The assignment is you have to design a store for the school, blah blah blah. And then a kid can go on AI and have a perfectly designed store, but they never actually make the store, right? So I mean the answer is obvious, but there is a
Yeah, because
value in
he's
him
he.
actually freaking
I'll cut
running.
you off there.
Yeah.
All right, he's building. It's building a certain level of confidence within himself.
Yes.
You know
Right.
that he can accomplish this. Um, and I mean, for me, there's just it's just such an immense amount of pride because I remember
Mm-hmm.
when he's 4 years old and we're sitting in front of our building with our lemonade stand and having business meetings in Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
him coming up with the realization that we should just not sell lemonade, we should sell iced coffee, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then in the winter, we should have hot chocolate. We could do a stand and just
Yeah.
have, because people might be, want a nice hot drink when they come home. And we did it, And then so it's why if it's a movie, it's like fast forward to then years later and he's starting the school store. Because I think when it comes from him, his heart and what he sees, and actually what he's seeing that kids want these snacks, he also then would realize and do his own data. And the computer's not going to tell him that. Like he would, or AI is not going to tell him that. He would just analyze this snack's not working. We need other snacks that would work, and he would realize which ones are more popular and which ones are selling and which ones are
Right.
not, and make those changes. So he doesn't need AI to do that, but but overall, these are things that build confidence in him as a young man who's 15 and is just very, very involved in his high school. And that's putting seeds in him for his future. And it's giving him skills and building character in him that will transfer over to as he gets older to whatever career he's choosing. And he has thoughts in mind now where he's going to go. And it might change, it might not, but that he has a very clear direction. And it's part of these things that he's doing now that I don't think AI should be involved in that. It can
Mhm.
add to it, if he wants to
Yeah.
put that
Yeah.
information
It's a
into data,
tool to
but
use,
it's coming from,
right?
it's coming from himself. And he's developing his own instincts and developing his own thoughts of what's needed for the environment that he spends 8 hours a day in, 40 hours a week in a place that he cares and helps him nourish this part of him that wants to help the school grow and just be a better place.
Yeah.
I don't think AI would really help with that.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like if he wanted to, he could use it to assist in some of the things that make the job
Organization.
annoying. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but all right. So now let me say this: there are a large number of jobs that will exist 10 years from now that do not exist today, and in a lot of ways, we can't even conceive of them. Right. So we can kind of guess because Brugge, we were talking about what do we tell our kids? Like they're a couple of years away from college, like they're wondering like what field should I get into? There's a question about the value of college in the first place, which we won't talk about today. But you
Yeah.
know,
I think that this is like a whole
yeah,
other discussion.
yeah. But
Yeah.
let me just say something quickly about AI. In 10 years, there will not be any field, there will not be any job like well, I shouldn't say any, there'll be a very small, but there will be hardly any jobs out there where an employer is looking for someone who doesn't have AI literacy. Let's put it that way. Because whether even if you're a plumber or a carpenter, it doesn't matter. Like what, an AI model, you're going to be able to take a picture of a set of pipes, and an AI model is going to be able to analyze it and tell you something. It's going to be able to give you information that you cannot process with our human brain fast enough,
Right.
And so the person who's an expert in the trade and who also knows how to use AI is going to outperform the person who is an expert in the trade who can't use AI. And that's going to be true for every single discipline. You can make an argument that if someone is strictly in like the creation of art from a human perspective, where people don't want AI in there, that's different. But I'm talking about most of the trades, most of the professions,
Yeah.
and and then there's a fear that certain things like will there be accountants in the future, or will that be all AI? You know what I mean? Like, so there are fears about whether people will be replaced or not, right? And that's a real fear, but
Yeah.
but I think that's asking the wrong question at this point. I think it's how do we make sure that our children are AI literate so that no matter what they decide to do, they will be in that tier of people.
I don't think we have to do anything. I think that, like our kids are growing up in they're growing up
I
with
mean,
it
in school.
No,
natural.
it doesn't mean like us specifically.
No, I mean, like, what should schools be doing to
Yeah,
make
like what should the
sure?
next?
Because if you have a parent who doesn't know anything about AI, then school might be the only place where the kid can get exposed to it.
Is it though? Aren't they just going on themselves and figuring it out? Like because it's like basically,
They might
when they're
be.
not in school, they're spending, with their friends and everything. They spend so much time. Like I didn't even realize.
Well,
Like,
Matt,
and this
what's
is
the
not
difference between you and I? Your understanding of AI and mine, and let's say you put me, you, and Brugge on a spectrum of how much we understand artificial intelligence tools and what the capabilities are and all. You put us all on a spectrum, right? You might be like lower down here, Brugge might be in the middle, and I might be at the farther end, right? But like,
I'll be -4,
but that's the same
and
with kids. Like, we're all peers. Like, there's no reason. What's the reason why I'm here and you're there? So how do we make sure that all of our kids, from an equity standpoint, all of our kids, all the kids in public school can keep up with all the kids in private school? Because
I
I can tell
sorry.
you right now, kids in private school are going to be experts in AI by the time they're done with eighth grade. I can tell you that for a fact.
I think that this is something that we should maybe talk like do a part two
Yeah.
on this topic for sure. Only because we're over an hour
Yeah.
and I gotta go. But if you guys can hang out.
No, let's go for 2 hours. Okay.
Because there's a lot of people who are very negative about AI
Yes.
because they don't understand it, but I think that we need to get into it. Like I want to get into what people are saying.
Yes.
Why are they so negative about it? Like
Yes.
that's important to tackle.
And if you guys have seen the movie Ex Machina, right? It looks like
can
EX and then Machina, like MACH. Oh my God.
No.
I refuse to do another podcast with the two of you until you both watch this movie.
sure. Okay.
No, this is a perfect
Is
movie
this
to
kind of like
watch.
when you show Dark Crystal to the kids and
Yeah.
teachers were like, "What the
Oh
hell
my
are they
God, it's
watching,
such a
Rob?"
great movie.
No, I was part of that. I was there. I was there. Rob put it on, and I was like, we were in the auditorium, like 100 kids are watching it. And then I remember that, well, like when the teachers come in, like, what the hell are they watching, Rob?
Oh my God, wait. Speaking of like I just sidebar, Never Ending Story, they did
Well,
a
that was the one I showed.
what would
Oh
happen
yeah.
if AI got involved with Never or what happened
Yeah.
if something about AI and happy ending of Never Ending
Yeah,
Story.
they have the horse climbing out of the mud, right?
I would
Right,
actually
yeah.
fast forward over the horse dying scene. I
Yeah,
just thought it was
yes.
too heavy.
Yeah, but
I would
they
fast forward and be like, but
Yep.
what happened to the horse? Don't worry about it. It had an accident. Because I started to
No,
show it. I was like, this is too much. I was like, it was a really dramatic scene. You know.
But that was the point. The point is
Yes.
like
Yeah.
we're like lawn mowering the set lawn. Is that how you say it? Lawn mower, ing all the obstacles to get out, all the emotional obstacles to get out of our children's way, so that they're not
Well,
experiencing maybe that stuff.
I don't know, because I was a guy that really, like I pushed the envelope with emotion and things, and I would let them experience things. That horse scene was a lot.
Are you talking about showing to your children or showing to your students?
Students.
Oh yeah, that's different. I mean, you probably need permission. There were also boobies in that, Maddie.
Yeah. But I think the point, but
you're
here's,
you're talking about the statue boobies?
yeah.
Yeah, I had to fast forward that too. But I remember
You
actually.
did.
Yeah.
What?
Of course you did.
No, but I remember when. All right, so I did a lecture in the auditorium, and then the movie was up, and I forgot about.
I forgot
it,
about
right?
it too. Yeah.
And then the both statues. So it's it's a horse statue, right? And then they have boobs, right?
No,
Wait,
it's not a
and
horse.
then the
shoot
kid has to
lasers
run.
out of their
Yeah.
boobs or their eyes?
No, their eyes, I think.
Right, and they're shooting, not shooting the laser out of the boot, and the kid has to run, Trey has to
Yeah.
run through it, right, and not get hit with the lasers.
Yeah.
And the statues are there, and then I'm like watching this, and I'm realizing like, shit, this looked a lot more innocent when I was 8 years old, and I'm watching this, and then I see, the statues, and they're clearly, they're horse statues. I was like, those are boobs. And then I'm like, oh no, the kids aren't going to react. All
right, I take it back now.
No,
now
I
that
literally
you told me it was about your students. I didn't realize, so I get why.
I literally saw two fifth graders do this, like, and they mumble to each other.
Yeah.
I was like,
But this is
oh,
getting away from
shit.
the point. The point was that a person
You think?
yes, because a person can go on an AI model now and say to it, I want you to remake the scene in Neverending Story so that the
Without
horse
boobs.
climbs out of the mud. And that's what they did. And it looks real. It looks just as real as the movie. It looks more real than the movie. And someone else did this with Lord of the Rings, where they said, I want Frodo and Bilbo to jump on one of the eagles and just fly straight to Mordor. Right. And so like the movie ends in 15 minutes, so
And they can make the statues without boobs.
Right.
No, stop, Maddie.
So, but anyway.
Can you put t-shirts on the statues?
Yeah.
We're going, for real. They could totally do that. That's a good one. All right. So we're definitely going to do a part 2. Maybe not next time, but we'll pick up part 2 at some point about AI. I think so.
we have 2 other good topics that we were going to do today, and we'll do one of those next time.
I forgot to tell you guys something, but I will save it for the next
God, just tell us.
No, I have to go.
All right, Maddie, take us out of
here.
All
right, we'll see you on the next topic of desks. We're going to be doing desks, which we're
finally going to do desks.
Put over for all right. Tune in to earlier podcasts if you want to know what I'm talking about. That's an inside joke. We never did my topic of desks. But anyway, yes, we'll do a part 2 and dive further into AI. Brugge has to go talk to some parents, and everybody else. We'll speak to you next time. And this is Matthew Cade, Mr. Rob Monahan, Brugge, and we'll talk to you later. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.